possessions of the day for Brazil. Here's Clark. Wow! You bet! From beyond the logo! And a little point afterwards.
After a season break, Caitlin Clark returned to the court, but not just any court. She stepped back into Carver-Hawkeye Arena, this time in an Indiana Fever jersey, not an Iowa Hawkeye one. Facing Brazil in a highly anticipated exhibition, Clark's presence in Iowa City was more like a homecoming.
Fans of all ages ready to celebrate a Hawkeye Fever here in Iowa as we send things over to Troy Pepper to meet the Fever starting.
And fans were feverish with excitement to see the sensational star, Clark, display her brilliance again.
And at guard from Iowa, wearing number 22, Caitlin Clark.
From the opening tip, it was clear. Caitlin Clark had come home, and she wasn't easing into anything. Just minutes into the game, with the energy in Carver-Hawkeye Arena already boiling over, Clark seized advantage of a transition and pulled up from deep and splashed in the first bucket for Indiana, a three-pointer that sent the crowd into a frenzy.
Clark, pull up three, you bet!
The roar was instant, familiar, and deafening. If there were any nerves about her WNBA transition, she erased them in an instant. Kelsey Mitchell followed up with a quick strike of her own, draining another three from the wing, and suddenly the Fever were rolling. The pace was fast, the offense electric, and the Brazilian squad was caught flat-footed. Clark wasn't just scoring, she was commanding. She delivered her first assist shortly after. It was a crisp, on-target feed that set the tone for the unselfish, high IQ ball she's known for.
Here's Clark off the rebound. Eyes up, finding Boston on a dime. Able to finish on the follow.
On defense, she made her presence felt with a strong block that brought fans took to their feet once again. There was hustle in her step and sharpness in every movement.
And Stephanie White likes the option of having Clark on the floor with Sydney Colson so she can play a little bit more off the ball, as you see a great block from Clark there.
As the quarter progressed, Clark's chemistry with her teammates began to click. A quick sequence of passes, cuts, and off-ball movement showed that she wasn't just shining individually, she was elevating the whole squad.
As Nascimento hits the three. Clark off the handoff. Clark bodying inside, wraps a pass. Good movement here. Cunningham connects, plus the foul.
And just when Brazil thought they could catch their breath, Clark struck again. Another deep three, smooth and confident, tore through the net, and by then, the Fever had all the momentum.
1 assist, 9 points for Kelsey Mitchell. Clark, what up? A little thrill to end the first for the hometown fans.
When the buzzer rang to end the first quarter, the scoreboard read 37-17 in Indiana's favor, but the numbers didn't tell the full story. Caitlin Clark had just turned her homecoming into a statement. The second quarter picked up right where the first left off. High speed, high energy, and all eyes on Caitlin Clark. Just seconds in, she lit up the court again with another smooth three-pointer, reminding Brazil that she wasn't cooling down anytime soon.
That opening quarter. Kelsey Mitchell with 9 points. Clark, a bomb. It is good!
Her range looked effortless, and the release was pure poetry. Vintage Clark, but now in Fever red. But Clark wasn't just hitting shots. She was syncing perfectly with her squad. Her chemistry with teammates kept growing, with sharp passes, smart cuts, and intuitive timing that made every possession look like second nature.
Just because of how good she is. Here's Clark. Veering through traffic. Gives it up. Gets it back. Finds Turner. Brianna Turner over to Hull. She got it. Another three for Indiana, their ninth.
It wasn't just about putting up numbers, it was about creating flow, and Clark was the engine behind it. Midway through the quarter, she dropped jaws with a full-court, laser-precise pass that sliced through defenders like a thread through a needle, setting up an easy bucket.
He is off with Queiroz. Here comes Clark. Down the floor. Touchdown. Clark to Bonner.
It was a quarterback-style read, the kind only someone with her court vision could pull off. And who else but Caitlin Clark to deliver such a precise and elegant pass? The crowd gasped before they even cheered. And just when you thought she might take a breather, Clark drove hard into the lane, cutting through Brazil's defense with a slick right-handed finish. It wasn't flashy, it was focused, and it showed another layer of her evolving WNBA game.
Rebound, fought for and won by Jaylen Brown. Here's Clark. Clark on the drive, gets to the cup.
The Fever continued to ride that momentum, and while the scoreboard kept tilting in their favor, it was the pace, confidence, and control Caitlin brought that stood out. She was orchestrating every movement like a seasoned vet, not a rookie. By halftime, fans had gotten everything they hoped for, and more. Brazil was reeling, and Indiana was running away with it. The buzzer rang, and the scoreboard told a story of total domination. Brazil 24, Indiana 70. Caitlin Clark wasn't just back in Iowa, she was dominating, dazzling, and delivering a masterclass in real time. The Fever came out of halftime like a team on a mission, and the scoreboard said they were halfway to a blowout. Kelsey Mitchell wasted no time floating in a smooth three that set the tone for another electric quarter.
Majors on the roster as well.
Here's Mitchell popping and hitting.
Then, Caitlin Clark did what Caitlin Clark does best. Turn chaos into opportunity. After seizing a Brazil turnover, she tore down the court, drew defenders like a magnet, and at the perfect moment dished a pinpoint assist to Aaliyah Boston, who banked it in clean.
Here's Clark. Off the turnover, Clark dishes, Boston floats it in.
On the next possession, Clark pulled up from the logo. Yes, the logo, in classic fearless fashion. The shot fell just short, clanging off the rim, but Nalissa Howard swooped in, grabbed the rebound, and laid it in.
Clark from the logo. Little off. Howard there for the...
But Clark was in full attack mode. She followed that up with a highlight-worthy play, catching a pass, weaving through defenders with tight footwork, and floating a clean shot into the bucket like it was practice.
Clark, catch, attack, floater, is good.
Her footwork, pace, and confidence made it look way too easy, but she wasn't done dealing. Next possession, Clark found Yvonne Ejim cutting hard to the rim and fed her a crisp bounce pass. Ejim finished through contact, adding another gem to Clark's growing assist reel.
Clark backdoor, nice find, and the layup is good.
Another example of Clark's elite vision at work. Then came the moment of the quarter. After Brazil managed to drain a rare three, Clark caught the inbound, pushed forward, and remembering she was Caitlin Clark, she dared to launch one from well behind the logo. The ball sailed through the air and splashed straight through the net. The crowd absolutely lost it.
Extra feed, Nicoletti able to knock down the three, one of the better looking possessions of the day for Brazil. Here's Clark. Wow! You bet! From beyond the logo! And a little point after.
Yeah, remember, that was an exact replica of the moment she broke the all-time NCAA scoring record. By the end of the third, it was Brazil 35, Indiana 90. By the time the fourth quarter tipped off, the scoreboard already told the story. Indiana Fever was in total control. But coasting to the finish? Not a chance. This squad had no intention of slowing down. The chemistry was still sharp, the ball movement still crisp, and the execution still relentless.
Their 4-out, 1-in type of play, with Camila Cardoso being that 1-in, having more space to open up the floor.
Indiana played like a well-oiled machine, and then Bree Hall added her name to the highlight reel. With confidence, she launched a three that hit nothing but net, pushing the Fever to a clean 100-point mark, and stretching the lead to a jaw-dropping 63-point gap.
To find their chemistry, to find their groove, another team with new pieces, a new head coach, and Chris Koplanis. But I think Paige is nice shot by Hall, is alongside her.
But Hall wasn't done. Brazil tried to apply pressure, but Hall continued to find space, slipping through defenders and sinking another smooth shot.
Who might be eligible for their team as they look to expand their pool of talent. So it was one of the things they'd even brought up to us, saying, hey, I know you're on that.
It didn't matter who was guarding her. She found a way. The crowd roared. It was domination, delivered with style. Then came a near miss turned into a hustle highlight. Brown seized the ball on a fast break, sprinting ahead of the pack. Her layup didn't drop, but Elaine was right behind her, trailing the play like a shadow. She scooped up the rebound and completed the mission to the crowd's delight.
And now coming up with a steal. Here's Brown on the breakaway. Couldn't lay it in, but Elaine can.
It was the kind of team effort that defined the Fever all game long, and when the final buzzer rang, Carver-Hawkeye Arena erupted. Fans rose to their feet, clapping, cheering, and soaking it all in. It wasn't just a victory, it was a celebration. The final score? Indiana Fever 108, Brazil 44.
A memorable afternoon at Carver-Hawkeye for Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever.
For Caitlin Clark, it was a triumphant return to the place that shaped her legend. For Indiana, it was a statement of unity, depth, and dominance. And for Iowa City, it was an unforgettable afternoon, watching their hometown hero lead a new team with the same fire. When Caitlin Clark was asked about the atmosphere at Carver-Hawkeye Arena, the crowd, and the fans, her response was simple yet telling. It had exceeded her expectations. For Clark, it was more than just another game. It was a heartwarming homecoming, a celebration of her return to the place that helped shape her into the phenomenon she is today.
Caitlin, how did this crowd, this moment, this environment meet your expectations today?
I mean, they always exceed it. I mean, they were amazing, and just really thankful to be able to come back here and appreciate this place and these fans. And I mean, it was as loud as it gets when we went on that 8-0 run to start the game, so just thankful.
And what a return it was. Clark finished the game with 16 points on 6 of 10 shooting, including an impressive 4 of 6 from beyond the arc. Add in 6 rebounds, 5 assists, a block, and only 3 turnovers, and you have a stat line that encapsulates everything that makes her special. The sensational hero of Iowa City was ready to begin another season of basketball brilliance.